As a business owner, what do you need in order to make the best decisions for your company, to strategically operate your company? You need information. And how do you get it? Well, unless you're really, really observant, you need tools to help you do that. Our tool today we're going to talk about is developing and implementing a company performance dashboard. And to do this, I welcome a frequent guest, Jeff Carmon, Director of Business Development with Frantz Building Services and a consultant with Elite Business Coaching. Jeff, always a pleasure.
Great to see you again, Jeff. Looking forward to this information.
I am as well. And it's somewhat out of my comfort zone, so it's all about you today. And although the name is a giveaway, company performance dashboard, it sounds like something that we all need. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, so a dashboard is really a tool that helps a company know how they're doing versus what they thought they would be doing. And so I try to think about it like this. It's kind of like having, if you're driving from New York to LA, you would have checkpoints throughout the way to say, hey, are we landing where we thought we would land, or do we need to speed up, or do we need to slow down? And so that's what a dashboard does for a company. It's just saying, hey, this is where we thought we would be. Are we there? And if not, what do we need to adjust in order to get where we thought we would be?
Now, that's an analogy I can understand. So, yeah. Um, so someone has to put those checkpoints, those notices out there with a dashboard. You have to feed it something, you have to give it something. What about that?
That's right. And so it really starts with for any company, is what are the metrics, what are the numbers that we want to track? And once that's discovered, then you certainly do have to feed it. And so, for instance, I would say each section of the company probably would have anywhere between two and half a dozen metrics or numbers that they want to track. So, for instance, in sales and marketing, we want to track maybe interactions with prospective customers, or click rates on emails that we sent, or meetings, or one loss on proposal. Operations might look at things like labor budget versus actuals, customer satisfaction survey, just a number of things. But each company needs to start with what are the things we want to measure, and then go back and say, now where are we going to get that data from?
Okay. What are the things we're going to measure? That's an interesting point because when you're driving a car, you're normally staring at the speedometer and of course the gas gauge once in a while,
That's
but
right.
you're tracking your speed. To you, Jeff, what are the most important components of a dashboard that a company should look at? Maybe the top ones you think they should have.
Yeah, so in our business, the data itself is what's most important, and then I think the way you display it and those things is also important. But in our business, one of the most important things to track is the cost of labor. The cost of labor can kind of make or break a janitorial company, just because it's such a significant piece of what we do. So things like budget versus actual labor, profitability numbers down to the job level. There's a number of things that are important there, and I would tell you there are certain things like a speedometer that we want to keep our eyes on all the time. And I just mentioned one: budget versus actual labor. From a dashboard standpoint, in our company, we can look at that every single day. We push that information out to our managers, and we're tracking it by job each time. However, numbers like turnover would be more like a gas gauge. We're keeping our eyeball on it, but we don't have to look at it each day. So there's really, some of the stuff is real granular, and we want to keep our eyes on it all the time. Some's a little bit more broad, and we're just kind of checking it when we need to.
Once you have your dashboard built and you're got the metrics coming in, it must take some time before it has a big impact.
It does. It does. Now I say that there's some that do and some that don't. So again, when a company first starts doing this, they're going to probably put some items in there that eventually they may say, well, we don't really even need to look at that. So, but it does take it. I would say it takes 6 to 8 months to really get into a flow, to start looking at that data. However, I would tell you that, like, labor budget versus actual is something that you can really get the benefit right off the bat on looking at that.
Do you have any examples of how this worked? Like how a company might have taken a dashboard and could have went the wrong way, but they made the right decisions?
Yeah, so I'll go back again. I'll go back to labor. I'll just give you a couple of examples in our own company. When we began to look and push numbers out to our managers and say, hey, in your region, and that's one thing too. We look at the information on a company level, rolled up or rolled up from all over the region. So then that way we can compare the performance of each one of our regions. But once we pushed our labor budget versus actual numbers out to our managers, it was helpful to them to really begin to monitor and control the cost of labor. And we saw our profitability really tick up pretty quickly. On the flip side, we also began to put out customer satisfaction information, and we get that once a quarter. And so we pushed that information out to the managers, and it was somewhat of a negative because we felt like we were serving our customers better than they thought we were, but turned to a positive because it helped us focus our energy on, hey, what are the things that we need to be doing to serve our customers better? And out of that became our service model.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you have any examples of things that were good, things that were bad, but it sounds like it can be either one.
It can be. And I would say this, the thing about a dashboard is you really don't want a lot of surprises to come up there. If you're planning well, it's kind of like that trip. You don't want to be too far in advance or too far behind. But so you don't want a ton of surprises that pop out of it.
I would imagine there's consultants out there or help. Someone watching this right now might say, I want to do this. What would they do?
The first thing to do is to decide what you want to track, and I would suggest starting slowly. Land on, let's say, company wide less than 10 metrics to start tracking, and then look internally and say, hey, where are we going to get that information? What are the sources? And so, for instance, it might be your ERP or your accounting system. It might be your CRM. And so, as a company, decide, hey, where are we going to get the information? And then lastly, then once you've got the information, I would say a simple way to do it is use an Excel spreadsheet or Google Sheets and build one on your own. And then decide then, hey, is this something that we can continue to use just kind of entering the data? Or do we want to go to the next level and buy some software and connect our systems to that and get a little bit more complex with it? Start simple, don't overcomplicate it. I think the phrase, the perfect is the enemy of good. Start with a good dashboard, start simple, but just do something. It's important to have a good company dashboard.